Chapter 1: The Unknown Beyond. In the year 2247, humanity had become a force to be reckoned with in the cosmos. After decades of exploration and colonization, Earth's United Federation of Planets (HFY) had established a network of colonies across the solar system and beyond. The solar ships of the HFY, powered by experimental warp drives and harnessing dark energy, roamed the galaxy, mapping uncharted territories and establishing contact with various extraterrestrial species. Captain Ilara Vaz stood at the helm of the starship Endeavour, a sleek, formidable vessel equipped with cutting-edge technology. She was known not only for her tactical genius but also for her unyielding spirit. As she gazed out into the void, the stars twinkling like diamonds against the backdrop of infinity, she felt the weight of the responsibility on her shoulders. Her crew, a diverse mix of humans and several alien allies, were not just her subordinates, they were her family. "Captain, we've received a distress signal from the nearby sector," Lieutenant Jian, her second-in-command, reported, breaking her reverie. "It's an emergency call from a colony ship. Let's plot a course, Mr. Jian. Engage warp drive," Ilara commanded, her heart racing at the thought of a potential crisis. The Endeavour leaped into faster-than-light travel, stars stretching into lines of light. Chapter 2: A Disturbing Discovery. When they arrived at the coordinates, they found the colony ship Harmony floating adrift, its hull pockmarked with laser burns. A sense of foreboding enveloped the crew as they boarded the derelict vessel. "Initial scans indicate no life signs aboard," Ensign Mira reported, her voice tinged with anxiety. "But the power levels are still active." "Let's move forward," Ilara said, her instincts sharpening. They navigated through the dimly lit corridors, eventually discovering the command center. What they found was unsettling. The ship's log recorded an encounter with an unknown fleet, a galactic empire that had no prior record in the Federation's databases. "According to this log," Lieutenant Jian said, reading from the console, "the Empire demanded the Harmony surrender and claimed dominion over this sector." "Domination? This isn't a war, it's an invasion," Ilara replied, her mind racing. "We need to warn the Federation. If this Empire is expanding, we could be next." Suddenly, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Warning! Intruder alert! Intruder alert!" Ilara's heart dropped. "We're not alone!" Chapter 3: The Galactic Empire. The crew rushed back to the docking bay, where they encountered a group of armored soldiers, their technology vastly superior, complete with energy shields and plasma rifles. They were the embodiment of the Empire, ruthless, efficient, and completely unyielding. "Humans," one of the soldiers barked, his voice echoing through the bay. "You are in violation of Galactic Empire law. Surrender your vessel and submit to inspection." Ilara couldn't help but chuckle, despite the gravity of the situation. "You think we're going to just hand over our ship? You must be joking." The soldier's expression soured, confused by her audacity. "This is not a negotiation. You will comply, or face the consequences." "Consequences?" Ilara shot back, her confidence emboldened by the spirit of humanity. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." As if on cue, the crew of the Endeavour emerged from the shadows, ready to defend their ship. "We're not going down without a fight," she shouted. If you enjoy the adventures and stories we share, consider subscribing to our channel. By joining our community, you'll stay updated on all our latest content and become part of a vibrant group of fellow fans. Your support not only motivates us to create even more exciting and engaging material but also helps us improve and expand our offerings. So don't miss out, hit that subscribe button and embark on this journey with us. We can't wait to share more amazing stories with you. Chapter 4: The Battle for Survival. The standoff erupted into chaos as the Endeavour's crew engaged in a fierce firefight against the invaders. Ilara led the charge, her tactical mind devising strategies on the fly. The humans' knowledge of their own ship, combined with their improvisation and teamwork, began to turn the tide. "Flank them from the left," Ilara ordered, and her crew obeyed, using the cramped quarters of the docking bay to their advantage. They pushed back against the Empire's technologically advanced soldiers, whose confusion grew as they faced unexpected resistance. "Withdraw!" the soldier barked, trying to rally his troops, but Alara could see the panic creeping into their ranks. With each passing moment, the Empire's confidence faltered, the tide of the battle shifting toward the humans. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the bay as a small, rogue asteroid slammed into the Harmony, causing a breach in its hull. Alarms blared, and the ship began to drift away from the Endeavor. "Captain? We need to get out of here!" Mira yelled, dodging plasma bolts. "Right. We regroup and head back to our ship," Alara commanded. The crew made a break for it, sprinting through the chaos, while the Empire scrambled to contain the damage. Chapter 5: A Dangerous Gamble. Just as they reached the airlock, Alara paused, glancing back at the Empire soldiers. "We can't leave them with this ship. It has too much information." "Captain, we can't risk it," Giant protested. "We need to escape before they regroup." She shook her head. "If we don't destroy the Harmony, they'll use it against us. We have to blow it up." "Are you insane?" Giant exclaimed. Alara's eyes gleamed with determination. "We'll set the core to overload. We can be out of range in time. Trust me." With time running out, they hastily set the ship's core to overload. The Empire soldiers were closing in, their tactics improving as they realized the humans wouldn't surrender. Alara's heart pounded as she watched the countdown tick down on the console. 5 seconds! Mira shouted. "Let's go!" Alara yelled, and they raced through the airlock back to the Endeavor. Chapter 6: The Escape. As they boarded, Alara activated the ship's systems. "Engage warp drive, full speed!" The Endeavor leaped into the void, just as the Harmony erupted in a blinding flash, a wave of energy rippling through space. They felt the impact, the ship shaking from the force. "We did it!" Mira cheered, but Alara wasn't celebrating just yet. "Let's analyze the damage," she ordered, sweat glistening on her brow. "I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." But the ship's sensors were already picking up something alarming. "Captain, we're not alone," Giant warned, his eyes wide with disbelief. Emerging from the darkness of space, a colossal fleet appeared, thousands of ships, each adorned with the insignia of the Galactic Empire, their dark silhouettes blocking out the stars. "Captain, they're coming for us!" Mira gasped. Alara's heart raced. They had unwittingly declared war on an empire far beyond their expectations. The stakes had never been higher. "Prepare for battle," she commanded, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her insides. "We'll show them just what humans are made of." Cliffhanger: The Battle for Humanity. As the Endeavor prepared for a confrontation against the overwhelming might of the Galactic Empire, Alara realized that this was just the beginning. The laughter that once echoed through the ship now faded into silence, replaced by the anticipation of an epic battle for survival. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared once more. "Captain? Incoming transmission from the Empire!" Alara's brow furrowed. On screen, a holographic figure materialized, a tall, imposing figure draped in dark armor, his voice dripping with condescension. "Humans," he sneered. "You've made a grave mistake. Your defiance will cost you dearly. Surrender now, or face annihilation." Alara's resolve hardened. "We'll never surrender!" The figure smirked. "Then let the games begin." As the transmission cut off, Alara gathered her crew. "Prepare for engagement. We'll show them what humanity can do." The lights dimmed as the vast fleet of the Empire approached, the darkness of space closing in around them. The fate of humanity hung in the balance as the first shots were fired. Chapter 7: The First Engagement. The bridge of the Endeavor buzzed with tension as alarms blared, red lights flashing ominously. Captain Alara Voss gripped the armrests of her chair, determination etched on her face. "Status report. Enemy fleet approaching at high speed. They're deploying fighter ships," Lieutenant Giant shouted, fingers flying over the control panel. "Shield levels?" Alara demanded, her heart pounding. Shields are at 90%, Captain. We can hold, but not for long if they overwhelm us, Mira replied, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Then let's give them a warm welcome, Alara declared. Weapons to full power! Target the nearest ship! As the Endeavor's targeting systems locked onto an incoming fighter, the crew felt the familiar surge of adrenaline. Firing! Giant exclaimed, unleashing a volley of energy blasts. The beams sliced through the vacuum of space, striking the enemy's ship and erupting it into a fiery explosion. Direct hit! One down! Mira cheered, but Alara quickly refocused their attention. Don't get complacent! More are coming! Chapter 8: The Fight for Survival. The enemy fighters swarmed like a hive of angry wasps, diving and weaving through the void. Alara executed evasive maneuvers, feeling the ship jolt as plasma fire grazed the hull. Return fire! She shouted, watching as her crew worked seamlessly, their camaraderie evident in the way they communicated. The Endeavor responded with a flurry of shots, taking down 2 more enemy ships, but the Empire's numbers seemed endless. Captain? They're flanking us, Giant warned, pointing at the readouts. We're surrounded! Alara's mind raced. They needed a strategy, something bold. Mira, prep the ion cannon. Giant, hold them off as best as you can. What's the plan? Giant asked, his brow furrowed in concern. We'll create a breach in their formation. Once they're disoriented, we'll make our escape, Alara explained, her confidence surging. On it! Mira responded, her fingers dancing over the controls. As the Endeavor twisted and turned, dodging plasma blasts, Alara's heart raced. She focused on the enemy ships, waiting for the perfect moment. Now! She yelled, as Mira activated the ion cannon, sending a shockwave that disrupted several enemy fighters, causing them to collide. Go! 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 Giant shouted, pushing the ship forward through the gap they'd created. The Endeavor surged ahead, escaping the immediate threat of destruction. Chapter 9: A Dangerous Encounter. As they sped away, the crew cheered, but Alara's relief was short-lived. The Empire wasn't done yet. A massive warship, larger than anything they had ever seen, emerged from the shadows, its dark hull bristling with weapons. Captain, it's a dreadnought! We're outmatched! Mira exclaimed, panic creeping into her voice. Alara's eyes narrowed. We can't outrun it. We'll need to fight. The dreadnought unleashed a barrage of fire, targeting the Endeavor. Brace for impact! Alara shouted. The ship shuddered violently as energy blasts slammed into its shields, but they held, barely. Return fire! Alara commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. Focus on their weapon systems! They unleashed a series of shots aimed at the dreadnought's weapon mounts, successfully knocking out one of its plasma turrets. The enemy ship staggered, but it quickly retaliated, firing another volley that rocked the Endeavor. Shields down to 60%, Giant reported, gripping the console. We can't take many more hits like that. Chapter 10: The Turn of the Tide. As the battle raged on, Alara knew they needed an edge. We have to split their focus. Giant, can you create a diversion? I can hack into their systems, he replied, a spark of inspiration lighting his eyes. If I can tap into their communications, I can cause confusion. Do it! Mira, keep us moving and avoid their fire, Alara commanded, gripping the armrest tightly as another impact jolted the ship. Giant focused intently on his console, fingers flying as he bypassed the enemy's defenses. I'm in! Sending false commands to their fighters, diverting them to attack the dreadnought. Alara felt a rush of hope as the enemy's ships, suddenly confused, began to target their own dreadnought. It's working! She shouted. Keep it up, Giant! The chaos among the Empire's ranks allowed the Endeavor to maneuver more freely. With renewed vigor, the crew pressed their advantage, firing at the remaining enemy fighters while dodging incoming fire. Chapter 11: A Shocking Revelation. Just as it seemed the tide was turning, a new voice crackled over the comms, cutting through the chaos. This is Commander Talia of the Galactic Empire. Your efforts are commendable, but futile. You're outmatched, and your defiance will be your undoing. Elara's heart sank as the commander's hologram flickered onto the screen, her cold gaze piercing through the chaos. Surrender now, and I may spare your crew. Elara's eyes narrowed. We'll never surrender. Such bravado, Talia replied, a smirk playing on her lips. You have no idea what you're up against. Your little victories mean nothing in the face of our might. Elara felt the weight of those words, but she refused to show fear. We're more than you think, Commander. You underestimate humanity. Let's test that theory, Talia replied, her eyes gleaming with malice. You've piqued my interest. As the transmission ended, the dreadnought suddenly powered up, revealing hidden weapons that had been cloaked from their sensors. A series of massive torpedoes launched from its hull, hurtling toward the Endeavour. Brace for impact! Elara shouted, but the crew had no time to react. The torpedoes struck, engulfing the ship in a blinding explosion. Chapter 12: The Aftermath. When the light faded, the Endeavour was still intact but severely damaged, systems flickering and alarms blaring. The crew fought to regain control as the dreadnought loomed ominously. Captain, hull integrity is compromised. We're losing power, Mira reported, panic rising in her voice. Giant, can you get us out of here? Elara asked, her mind racing. I'll try to reroute power from non-essential systems, he replied, sweat dripping from his brow as he worked furiously. Just then, a deep rumble shook the ship, and the dreadnought began to advance, its massive size overshadowing the Endeavour. We're not going to make it, Giant exclaimed, eyes wide with fear. Hold on, Elara shouted, determination surging through her. We'll fight to the end. Cliffhanger, the ultimate sacrifice. As the dreadnought prepared to fire again, Elara's instincts kicked in. She spotted a small escape pod on the side of the ship. An idea formed in her mind, a dangerous gamble that could save her crew but would cost her dearly. Listen up, she shouted, rallying her crew. We have one chance. I'm going to overload the warp core. It will give us enough power to break through their defenses. Captain, that's insane, Giant protested. You'll be trapped. I can't let them take us. Elara's voice was resolute. You all need to get out of here. I'll hold them off. No! Mira shouted, tears in her eyes. We're not leaving you behind. Elara smiled sadly. You're my family. You have to survive. Now go! With heavy hearts, her crew hesitated, torn between loyalty and survival. As the dreadnought prepared to fire, Elara made her decision. Go! Now! She commanded, as she began initiating the overload sequence. The crew, filled with despair, reluctantly activated the escape pod, tears streaming down their faces as they watched their captain remain behind. Captain? Giant shouted, desperation in his voice. Get out of here! I'll be with you in spirit! Elara's voice rang with strength. The escape pod launched away, and Elara braced herself, her heart pounding with the weight of her choice. As the dreadnought fired its weapons, Elara activated the overload. The Endeavour lit up with a brilliant glow, the energy building to an explosive crescendo. In one final moment, she whispered to herself, For humanity! The ship erupted in a blinding light, engulfing everything in its path. Chapter 13: The Blinding Light. The explosion that followed Elara's command was beyond anything her crew had ever witnessed. The Endeavour transformed into a supernova, a brilliant eruption of light and energy that illuminated the darkness of space. As the escape pod sped away, Giant and Mira watched in horror and awe. She did it, Giant whispered, tears in his eyes. She sacrificed herself for us. Mira gripped his shoulder tightly, her heart aching. We have to make her sacrifice count. We need to warn the Federation. The escape pod raced through space, leaving behind the remnants of the Endeavour. The explosion had caught the attention of the Galactic Empire, causing chaos within the dreadnought's ranks as debris and energy cascaded through the void. Chapter 14: A New Resolve. Back in the safety of the pod, the crew took a moment to collect themselves. They were shaken, but Alara's courage ignited a fire within them. "We can't let her bravery be in vain," Mira said, wiping her tears. Jayan nodded, determination replacing despair. "We'll find a way to rally the Federation. They need to know what they're up against." The pod's navigation system flickered to life, guiding them toward the nearest Federation outpost. As they plotted their course, they received a transmission from a nearby patrol ship, the Odyssey. "Odyssey to escape pod. Do you read?" came the voice of Commander Hawthorne. "What's your status?" "Commander, this is Jayan. We've lost the Endeavor. Alara, she sacrificed herself to destroy the Empire's dreadnought." There was a moment of silence, then Commander Hawthorne responded. "Understood. We're sending a rescue shuttle. We need to regroup and strategize. The Empire is a greater threat than we anticipated." Chapter 15: The Rallying Call. After safely boarding the Odyssey, Jayan, Mira, and the rest of the crew debriefed the Federation leaders. They presented their findings about the Galactic Empire, detailing the encounter and Alara's ultimate sacrifice. "Her bravery is a testament to the spirit of humanity," Commander Hawthorne said, his expression grave. "We cannot allow her sacrifice to be in vain. We must unite our forces and prepare for war." The Federation leaders convened, and a plan began to take shape. They would mobilize every available ship and ally, forming a coalition to confront the Empire head-on. As they worked through the logistics, Jayan and Mira felt a renewed sense of purpose. Chapter 16: A Fight for Humanity. Weeks passed as the Federation gathered its forces. The coalition included ships from various planets and species, all motivated by a common goal: to avenge Alara's sacrifice and protect humanity from the Empire's tyranny. As the fleet prepared for battle, Jayan stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, looking out at the assembled ships. "We're ready," he said, determination etched on his face. Mira nodded. "For Alara. For humanity." Commander Hawthorne addressed the coalition. "Today, we fight not just for our survival, but for the freedom of all who stand against oppression. We will not back down. We will show the Galactic Empire that humanity is not to be underestimated." Cheers erupted among the crew, the spirit of unity surging through them. As the fleet set a course toward the Empire's stronghold, hope and defiance filled the air. Chapter 17: The Final Confrontation. When they arrived at the Empire's territory, the sight was daunting. The Empire's ships loomed like dark monoliths against the stars, but the coalition stood firm, resolute in their purpose. "Prepare for engagement," Commander Hawthorne ordered. The battle began, a clash of lights and energy as the coalition's ships engaged the Empire. Jayan and Mira fought side by side, the memory of Alara pushing them forward. They were determined to honor her sacrifice, to ensure that humanity would not fade into darkness. As the battle raged, Jayan spotted a familiar dreadnought among the enemy's ships. "It's them!" he shouted. "They've come to avenge their losses. We'll take it down!" Mira replied, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Together, they coordinated their attacks, focusing fire on the dreadnought. The coalition's forces worked in unison, a symphony of strategy and might. The tide was beginning to turn in their favor. Chapter 18: A Legacy of Courage. Amidst the chaos, the dreadnought's commander, Talia, emerged on the screen once again. "You think you can defeat us, humans? Your kind will always be inferior." Jayan met her gaze with unwavering determination. "You underestimated us once. It won't happen again." With one final push, the coalition concentrated their firepower on the dreadnought. The ship trembled under the relentless assault, and with a deafening roar, it succumbed to the firestorm, erupting into a brilliant explosion. Victory surged through the coalition as they pressed on, pushing the remaining Empire forces back. The message was clear: humanity and its allies would not be subdued. Chapter 19: The Dawn of a New Era. In the aftermath of the battle, the Federation celebrated their hard-won victory, but the weight of loss lingered. Alara's name became a rallying cry, inspiring others to join the fight against oppression. At a memorial ceremony honoring those lost, Jayan and Mira stood together, gazing at a statue commemorating Elara's bravery. She would be proud, Jayan said, his voice filled with emotion. Mira nodded, wiping away a tear. And we will continue her legacy. We will ensure humanity is never underestimated again. As they looked out at the stars, a new resolve took hold. They would continue to explore, to protect, and to stand united against any who dared threaten their freedom. Epilogue: A galaxy changed. Years passed, and the alliance between species grew stronger. The Galactic Empire had been pushed back, but remnants of its forces still lurked in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity. Jayan and Mira, now seasoned leaders, stood at the helm of a new ship, the Pioneer. Their mission was clear: to explore new worlds and prevent the rise of tyranny wherever it may appear. Ready for the next adventure? Mira asked, a smile breaking through her solemn expression. Always, Jayan replied, determination in his eyes. For Elara, for humanity. As they set course into the unknown, the spirit of exploration and courage propelled them forward. The galaxy was vast, and humanity had proven it could stand against the greatest odds, ready to laugh in the face of oppression. And with that, they ventured into the stars, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead.